Hello, and today I'm going to be doing a review of Holiday Horror directed by Jimmy Hayner over at Creepy Crew Studios. This is a non-spoiler review, so please do not expect me to spoil any major key parts to this film. So let's begin. I'd like to start off by saying that I do portray the main character in this film, aka the podcaster, but I'm not going to talk highly of how I performed in this movie because that would kind of be conceited. So I am going to be talking about the storyline without giving any spoilers, and of course editing, the camera, all that stuff. So what I'd like to start off with is the storyline. And I know what you're thinking. The whole Killer Santa Claus gimmick is so overused. It's a very commonly used concept for a Christmas horror film. It's either a killer Santa Claus or Krampus or something to do with Christmas folklore somehow. But in my opinion, if it's done correctly, it's actually kind of terrifying. And here's why I say that. Think about it. Santa Claus is typically an icon for children to love and enjoy. I think nearly every kid out there has had some form of Christmas memory utilizing Santa. You know, if you're good, Santa Claus will bring you a present. If you're bad, he will bring you coal. And, you know, the whole Krampus tradition, if you're bad, Krampus will come. But, you know, if you're not one for using that to scare your kids into being good, that would be the alternative. They'll get coal from Santa. So, whenever it's done correctly, it's kind of scary because kids trust Santa. You know, it's already unsettling whenever you have it just be a knockoff, but whenever it's done correctly, terrifying. And that's what made Silent Night, Deadly Night so terrifying whenever it came out back in 1984, because kids were terrified, and people were angry that they could do that to the idea of Santa Claus. And now it's become more common, but there's occasionally a movie that's not just copying off of Silent Night, Deadly Night. The director of this film, Jimmy Hayner, knew exactly what he was doing with this story, and I absolutely love it. Okay, it's not just some guy who's traumatized because of Santa Claus, so he later on dresses like Santa Claus and loses his mind, basically. It's completely different, and I absolutely love it. So that's immediately a big credit to this film, is the storyline. The next thing I want to mention is the soundtrack. Bruh. Okay, not all of it is Christmas music. Some of it is quite suspenseful. Kind of reminds you of like the vintage horror, like The Evil Dead, or even something akin to Friday the 13th. But also the Christmas music. I absolutely love Christmas music. I listen to it all year round. So hearing it in different forms. Actually, allow me to play you a clip real quick. See what I'm saying? Absolutely beautiful soundtrack. Amazing. And honestly, it kind of adds on to the creepiness of the movie because, really think about it, songs like "O Come All Ye Faithful" or the film's theme song, "The First Noel," they're beautiful songs meant to be seen as beautiful, but they're being used in kind of a creepy sense, and I absolutely love that. Here is another clip of the first Noel being played on a music box that Jimmy added to this film. Sends chills down my spine every time. If I heard that playing outside my bedroom door late at night, I probably shit myself. Another thing that I really enjoy about this film is the camera. The camera shots are fantastic. They're shot by both the directors, Jimmy and Richie, who I believe is listed as a producer and a secondary cameraman in the credits. Don't quote me on that, it's been a good minute since I've seen the credits. I feel like I can see it, but I can't picture it, so I will let you guys know during the editing process. But here's just a clip right now of how amazing these camera shots are. I don't think I even need to explain what makes the camera work so amazing after showing you guys that clip. It's just perfect. Every ounce of camera movement is just amazing in this film. Jesus God. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the sound effects. You ever have it in like a movie, a show, or even a video game where you see an injury of some kind or a death scene that is so painful you physically feel it? Like, okay, for example, whenever I was playing God of War, whenever Kratos just punches that dude, I'm like, I somehow felt that because of how realistic it looked and the sound effects. That is exactly this film in a nutshell. Holiday Horror does this so perfectly. Jesus God. Like, there's a specific scene that the sound effect somehow registered my brain to think it was me getting hit, is how accurate it was. I will play that clip right now. Yeah, that guy's brains are definitely on the outside of his head now. So what do I think of holiday horror as a whole? I think it's actually very refreshing. Considering the fact that there's so many of these killer Santa Claus movies and they're rarely ever good. Like, of course you got the iconic ones like Silent Night, Deadly Night that are good. To All a Good Night, that's good. But then you have All Through the House. We don't talk about that movie. We forget that it existed. We don't let it haunt us. But then you have something like this that lives up to Silent Night, Deadly Night. And honestly, what I like is it's kind of a modernized era because you have a podcaster. You didn't really have too much of that back in the 80s, like at the time of Silent Night, Deadly Night, To All a Good Night. You know, you did not have that. So it kind of uses newer technology, like cell phones and whatnot. It's just perfect, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely refreshing. And honestly, if you're wanting to watch something as a family, like a horror movie centered around Christmas, around the holidays, give Holiday Horror a chance. I absolutely think you would love it, and I think if you watched it with your family, if they also wanted to watch a Christmas horror film, they would absolutely love it too. Because, you know, nowadays kids don't have the, I guess, mindset that they did back in the 80s. They have cell phones, so they'll understand, you know, what a podcast is. You know, they'll understand it all. And I absolutely love that. But it also does call back to some of the older horror films, like the scene where the guy that got bashed over the head with a hammer literally was watching Night of the Living Dead and Steamboat Willie. Both of those are far beyond my time on this earth. Even though I'm a massive Disney fan, so of course I know Steamboat Willie, but like still, it came out in the 30s. So, or actually it might have been the 20s, like the very late 20s. So it's, you know, it's basically a love letter to horror and vintage horror fans. You have like the newer technology like cell phones and podcasts and all that, but you also have the vintage stuff too. And also just, it feels like a mixture of newer horror and 80s horror, and that's what makes it so unique. And that's even why I love Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, because it gives off modern but also 80s. So take what you will here. Don't know why I said take of, but take what you have. And congratulations, Holiday Horror, in my opinion, is a very decent film. That about does it for this review. I'll be sure to post more movie reviews soon. I already have which one I'm going to review next, and I'm not excited about it. You guys probably are, just to see me suffer, but I will see you guys next time.